Money in the Morning. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're feeling as good as I am. I slept in today. I was not in the 5 a.m. club this morning. I was actually in I think the 7 a.m. club or the 6:30 a.m. club. It's really funny. Habit formation is kind of an important part of, I think, doing anything. You just get used to things, right? So now that I'm so used to getting up at it's ungodly hours in the morning. It's like when I wake up at 6:30 or 7, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so lazy. I slept in today. So when you set higher standards for yourself, it really does elevate you. So I encourage you to do that. And also just in terms of health being wealth, we've talked about that before. I can tell you that that if you do have that little regimen where you're getting in just a little bit of physical activity each day, it will make a big difference in your ability to achieve your goals, your ability to stay focused, things like that. I highly encourage you to do that, especially those of us that are over 40. When you hit 40, you gotta work. You're on this like conveyor belt that's slowly a moving sidewalk that's taking you to the land of fat people. Like anybody else go through that? Anybody else? Cody's. Wait, give me 1 second here. Okay, so Cody says he cannot hear me. Can you hear me? Give me a yes if you can hear me. Let me know if my audio is coming through okay. I want to make sure I'm coming through all right. All right. So yeah. So Cody, can somebody text Cody and tell him, hey Cody, turn your mic on, or something, or check your Wi-Fi. All right. Oh, okay. Or adjust the hearing aid, Cody. I'm playing. All right. So here. All right. So yeah. But literally, like when you hit the age of 40, you start moving in the direction, like moving toward the land of fat people. Like, I don't know if anybody else went through this, but I was stunned by the fact that after I turned, it kind of started sort of at 35. 35 was when my body started doing weird stuff. Like I used to play basketball. That's how I stayed in shape, was I would play basketball all the time. And basketball is the best cardio because you're getting cardio and you don't even feel like it. You don't even know it, and I was not a great basketball player. I never got any formal training. I mean, I didn't really have, you know what, I'm gonna tell you, sometimes I get pissed off that I didn't really have like a full-time, like dad, like involved dad. Like, don't get me wrong, I had a dad in the house. It wasn't the real dad. The real dad, apparently drugs was more interesting than like being a father for him, I guess. I don't know. And then I had another dad, but he would work all the time, right? So we didn't get a chance to do so. So nobody ever really like, like I used to get jealous of those kids. You ever see those kids where every single game their dad is there in the stands, and every single time they go to practice, their dad is like right there, and their dad is practicing with them every day. I did not have that kind of involvement, right? One time, literally one morning when I was 8 or 7, and I was on the T-ball team, my dad woke me up and took me outside, and he hit the ball with me for about 15 minutes. I never forgot that for the rest of my life because it never happened again. But I love my dad, but that's just me, my tragedy. But it's not that bad. It could be worse, right? Some people didn't have a dad at all. So my heart goes out to you. Anyway, so here's the thing. Part of the downside of not having like that extra involved dad was I didn't learn some of the stuff that I wish I had learned. Like, first off, my biological father was good at baseball. From what I heard, I should have picked baseball because I picked track and field, which was not my sport, and I was very frustrated. I just wasn't that good at it, and I was okay. I was captain of the team, and I could run fast enough to be fast, but not fast enough to really like win championships, and that kind of bothered me. And so that would have been cool. But then also, I think like just getting like that extra coaching would have helped. Like I always wanted to go to basketball camp or football camp, so I would know how to play basketball. I knew how to play like in the playground, but not in an organized game. I get an organized game and I didn't know what to do because I wasn't used to having referees and rules and all that. So one of the interesting things was that I used to play basketball, but I wasn't that great. That was the point of that drawn out story. So what I did was I sort of started figuring things out. This is the benefit of not having good mentorship in terms of every area of your life. I had some mentorship, but not as much as I could have used. But you start figuring things out, right? You sort of become your own role model, your own mentor. So I gained kind of a rugged individualism where I was like, okay, if I don't figure this out, nobody else will. And to some extent, that probably affects how I talk to you all now. Y'all hear me say it all the time. I don't think anybody loves black people. I don't think anybody's going to really do it for us. I don't think black people really have any friends. I don't believe you when you tell me that you're my ally. I just don't. You're stealing money, you're taking jobs, you're taking resources, and you're claiming that you're my ally. You don't sound like an ally. Allies come through for people. So that sort of perspective, honestly, is probably affected, maybe biased or tainted by the fact that that was how I grew up. I grew up just having to figure things out. So here's what I figured out on the basketball court, right? First thing I figured out was, despite the fact that, see, here's the thing. People keep lying to me. People tell me lies all the time. And let me tell you the big lie that they tell me. They keep telling me that I'm 5'8". That's a damn lie. That is fake news. That is not true. I'm not 5'8". Because I identify as 6'5". Okay. I identify as a tall man. But they keep telling me that I'm not that tall. So they just be hating. They just be hating, y'all. Really. They keep telling me I'm 5'8". And they like, Boyce, we pulled out the measuring stick and it says you're 5'8". And I'm like, no, that's not true. Because I identify as a 6'5" tall, handsome man. Okay. And so here's the thing. So despite the fact that I identify as a tall guy, I would run into this dilemma on the court where, where I would still get treated like a short guy. I would go up and the tall guys would block my shots. And so I figured out, here's what I figured out, because I'm not stupid, right? I figured out, I said, okay, I can't dribble, and I'm not as tall as I believe I am, because I was identifying as 6'5" for a long time, but it didn't quite work in the real world. And so I realized that, I said, if I become a really good shooter, I can actually win the game. Right? Always wanted to win. I wanted to be good. I never wanted to be average at anything. So you know what I did? Here's what I did. This was fun. So I used to go to the basketball court all the time. So first off, it keeps you in great shape. Like, so I love basketball for that reason. But then second of all, I would go to the gym with intentionality. I would shoot. I would literally every day shoot 300 3-point shots, 300 shots. Like I would just, and I read in a book, because nobody explained these things. I read in a book. Okay, when you shoot, you keep your hips straight. You follow through. You make sure you jump the same height, and you get body, what they call it, body muscle memory, right? So I just did muscle memory. And do you know that I got so good at shooting 3-point shots that I literally could hit 23-point shots in a row? I was Steph Curry up in that mug. I literally, in fact, I got so good that I said one day, I said, I wonder if I could hit a 3-pointer with my eyes closed. I could hit 3-pointers with my eyes closed. That's how good of a shooter I was. So that was my way in the game, because I wasn't tall. I couldn't jump that high. I couldn't dribble, because nobody taught me how to really play. But man, woo, buddy, you give me that ball at half court, I was knocking them down at half court. It was so much fun. So what happened then, just in terms of, like, let's circle this back so I don't just sound like a guy who's rambling. We talked about health as wealth, right? And so what happens is that at 35 years old, a man's testosterone level drops by 1% per year. So if you let nature just happen, then what'll happen is that you'll become just less of what you were before. In that way, you have to replace that on some level, and it also replaces, the muscles get replaced by belly fat, and that belly fat's very dangerous, right? That can kill you. So for all you men that are out here hustling, grinding, working hard, and all this other stuff, and you're not taking the time to take care of your body, I would encourage you to sort of reconsider that. And consider that to be all part of the same package. Consider that to be all part of the same regimen, because if you focus on one thing and you neglect another, then you're ultimately going to have some significant regrets. Because literally, once I hit 40, it seemed like, first of all, my body started breaking down at 35 in weird ways. Like, your knee starts acting weird or whatever. And then and then after 40, what happened was I started to just gain like 10 pounds a year just because. And then that's when, blood pressure issues start popping up and everything else. So I realized, okay, I've got to be intentional about my health. Working hard was always easy, right? It was always easy to get up and grind and all that. I've been doing that for, many, many years. And, as a PhD student, all you do is you study. You study more hours than any normal human being should. I don't 7 hours a day, 10 hours a day, studying on Christmas, weekends, all that. That was the norm. That if you want to finish your doctorate at a legitimate institution, you have to literally become obsessed with what you're doing. And that breeds some of the obsession and the consistency you might see even now. The way I operate now, every single day, I do the same thing, because that's just kind of how I was built in that way. So that was good. But the problem was that taking care of my physical health, I always separated that. Sometimes we compartmentalize and we think that what we're doing physically has nothing to do with what we're doing like professionally or financially. And I think that they're connected. I know that they're connected. In fact, we've talked about this before. If you go to a rich man, who's dying in the hospital, and you say, which would you rather have, your money or your health back? What do you think he's going to say? What answer do you think he's going to give? If you say, hey, you can have your money back plus $1 billion, you have another $1 billion, or you could get your health back. You can go back to when you were, 30 years old. Which do you think he would want? His health, right? He would want his health back. His health would be worth to him billions of dollars. He would trade billions of dollars to get his health back. And so I would encourage you to protect that valuable asset that you have. What I started doing was with intentionality was I said, okay, the testosterone does drop. So you go to the gym, you lift weights. That's how you get your testosterone back for as a man. And also the other little trick I found out was, and also same thing for women. My wife, works out like crazy, and I'm very proud of her because she actually wears the same dress size that she wore in college, which I don't know anybody who could pull that off. I know I can't. And I didn't wear dresses in college though either, so don't be starting no rumors. But anyway, so the other piece too, the other little tip I wanted to throw out there for anybody that's listening is don't make it a whole big thing. I think when you talk about health is wealth and taking care of your physical health in between all the grinding that you're doing to build your business and all the hard work that you're doing to be successful financially, I wouldn't necessarily always make it a big thing. Sometimes we have time to pack up all of our stuff, get in the car, drive to the gym, get set up and work out for an hour, but that takes like 2 hours out of your day, right? Sometimes we ain't got 2 hours out of the day. We don't. So what I do sometimes is on a busy day, I have like some basic weight equipment. I'm talking about cheap stuff you can buy on Temu for $20, $30 or something. That's in the other room. Where I'll look at the clock. I'll say, okay, it's 12:15. I have a meeting at 12:30. I'm going to go in this other room and I'm going to just do anything I can do in this other room to give myself some cardio or weightlifting, like for 15 minutes. I'm going to work out really hard for 15 minutes so that after the 15 minutes is over, I'll be tired. Maybe I'll sweat a little bit. My breathing will be elevated. My heart rate will be up. And that'll make a difference. Sure, it's not a full blown workout, 100%. But it does make a big difference. It's better than doing nothing. Most people do nothing, right? And there's a big difference between doing a little bit and doing nothing. In fact, it actually applies the same way with economics. When we talk about financial consciousness every morning, there's a big difference between somebody who saves and invests $0 versus somebody who simply does $5 a day. I told y'all the $5 a day plan. If a person literally invested the same amount of money that it cost to buy a McDonald's value meal, and they did that consistently, that person, the first person's broke 20, 30 years later. The second person is close to being a millionaire. The second person has hundreds of thousands of dollars liquid in the bank account. So remember, wealth, and when I talk about wealth, I'm not just talking about money. Let's just be clear about that. Let me know you get this. Most wealth is not money. Most wealth does not show up in the form of a stupid little piece of paper. That piece of paper is nice. It's good to have. I hope you get a lot of them. But just know, wealth is not just that piece of paper. Wealth is all the things in your life that matter to you, right? And so when you think about anything that you're trying to do, just know it's an accumulation process. There's a big difference between doing a little bit and doing nothing at all. Just do a little bit. Or I heard somebody say it very well when they said, always do something, never do nothing. So instead of your rule being like, I'm going to operate at this level and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be excellent all the time, every day. Some days you ain't going to be excellent. Some days you're not going to feel excellent. Some days black excellence is not flowing through my veins. I'm some days I feel like a fat, lazy bum. And so what I do when in that situation, when I negotiate with myself, when mediocrity is holding me hostage, like I'm in the prison of mediocrity, I'm in the trap, got trap music, you get in the trap of mediocrity. I negotiate my own surrender, my own release. Because I'm not just the person that's incarcerated, I'm also the guard of the jail that's incarcerating me, right? And so not only am I suffering, pay attention now, not only am I suffering from the consequences of my incarceration, I also hold the keys to my own liberation. Do you understand? I literally could be making trap music because I'm literally in the trap, and we live in the trap like that. So as I'm negotiating my own release, my own surrender, What I do is I say, okay, boys, look, we ain't got to be excellent today. You ain't perfect, boys. You're not an Olympic champion every day. Some days you don't feel like being the great Dr. Boyce Watkins or something. I don't know, whatever it is that some people that might like thrust upon me. I don't want to own all that. I'm just a guy doing his best. So I just say, look, boys, just do something. Just do a little bit. Let's just all right, come on, let's just get up and do 20 jumping jacks. Oh, okay. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Well, let's go to the gym and let's just get on the treadmill. And you ain't even gotta run if you don't want to. It's optional. You can run if you want. So I go to the gym and I'm dragging my ass into the gym. I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, I ain't gonna run. I'm hate this stuff. I'm on my phone scrolling, just walking. Then I'm like, oh, I could jog for 30 seconds. And then you get the heart rate up, you start breathing. When you're breathing and your heart rate's up, it does a lot for your brain functioning, just in case you don't know. Like I notice my brain functions at a much higher level when I have been breathing a lot. It's great for meditation. It'll breathe out a lot of your stress. And so anyway, I just want to encourage you guys to do that and to connect whatever you do, whatever your regimen is on health with what you're doing wealth wise. If you're doing both, then you're going to be better off than if you're doing just one or the other. Now that leads into the other topic that I wanted to actually talk about. Remember, I was telling you the holy trinity of quality of a wealthy life tends to be health, wealth, and relationships. We've talked about that, right? I told you all that if you want to know if the All Black National Convention is for you, then the question I ask you is: do you believe Black people should be healthier mentally and physically? If the answer is yes, put a yes in the chat. If you believe our mental health is important, put a yes. If you believe our physical health is important, put a yes. Like we should exercise and stop eating McDonald's and Popeye's chicken and all that. All right. If you believe Black people should have more wealth, more financial security, right, more income, then put a yes in the chat. That's the other dimension, right? And then the last piece is relationships. Do you believe Black people should have better relationships with each other? Do you believe husbands and wives should try to get along, that we should love our kids, that our kids should love us, we should respect each other, treat each other well? If the answers are yeses in those categories, then here's two things. Number one, not only are you radically pro-Black, in my opinion, which there's nothing radical about any of these ideas, but you're radically pro-Black, in my opinion, because you want what's best for your people, you want what's best for your family, you want what's best for yourself. But second of all, it allows us to have some common ground. It allows us to have common ground that gets beyond silly stuff. Like, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? Are you gay or are you straight? I don't care if you're gay because you're not trying to sleep with me. Why do I care that you're gay? Good luck with you in your gay life, and good luck with me in my straight life. there's no there's no reason for us to be divided over this. Rich, poor, educated, uneducated, male, female. I think all those things can be kind of put to the side if we agree on those basic things: health, wealth, and relationships. That's what I want for Black people. So if anybody ever says, that Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's kind of crazy. What do you think about him? Just say, well, Dr. Boyce just says that he wants Black people to have mental and physical health. He wants them to have good relationships with each other, and he wants them to be wealthy and economically successful. And then that pretty much defines where I stand, pretty much. Okay. So here's the point. So we were talking about health and wealth. Well, then there's relationships, and that's why I want to get to this topic on Judge Mathis. Okay, Judge Mathis is. Did anybody see what's going on with Judge Mathis? I got to thinking about this, and when I saw this video clip, I'm going to play it in a second. It's on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So I'm going to pull this clip up. And we're going to watch this because, my wife was watching it because, she's a relationship therapist. Her website's coachingwithdralicia.com, by the way. So she coaches a lot of couples and stuff. And it was very sad. It was interesting. He's been married to his wife about 39 years. And he was very open to say, I'm trying to get my wife back. This is a sad day. And I'm going to play this video and I'm going to kind of lay out a couple of thoughts on this in terms of investing in asset allocation, actually. And why this is important. Now, before I move on, I want to remind everybody two things. One, I mentioned to you all that I'd give you the big discount on All Black National Convention tickets. The convention is going to be October 25th to the 27th in Lombard, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. I think we have a chance of Cornell West actually coming out there as well. I love Dr. West. He's a great guy. I know Dr. Melina Abdullah, his vice president, is coming. She's a wonderful lady. But then we have literally 60 other experts. I mean, there's so many amazing people that will be there. It's a great, beautiful family reunion. We're not about the celebrity stuff. I don't care if white white folks put you on TV. We don't care if you got a whole bunch of money, even though some people there do have money, like billionaire Mike Roberts. He also reached out and said he wanted to do a panel at the convention. And I love Mike. We're like family. And basically, we actually went to Ghana and literally got adopted into the same family, the Kubio Kansi family. So Michael Roberts will be there doing a panel on technology, like with the emergence of things like AI and kind of us being prepared for that because we want to be ready for the future. Lamar Tyler, the Black millionaire maker, will be there. And also another thing you should know about the convention is that we do not allow any sponsorship from Democrats or Republicans. So I don't care what your political affiliation is. I'm not even going to ask you. I don't even want to hear. I honestly don't want to hear Democrat, Republican the whole weekend. That's not something that I think is worth us debating or fighting about. But then the last piece is that we also don't take corporate sponsorship from major corporations. There are some Black-owned businesses that set up shop and have, booths and things like that. But we don't, this will not be Black liberation brought to you by McDonald's, because money is a power and money can also be a trap if you're not careful. So you get all these big sponsors, Walmart and Target and all these companies want to sponsor you. Well, next thing you know, they're going to start censoring you. They're not going to allow the kinds of conversations that we have at the convention to occur with their corporate dollars. And I don't blame them one bit. If I was them, I wouldn't sponsor us either. But we have amazing partnerships within our community, like with the Black Business League run by Dr. Ken Harris, who's a great man who's doing these delegations back and forth to Africa with hundreds and hundreds of Black business owners that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in business. We have partnerships with people like Dr. Maurice Green, who runs the Black Doctoral Network, which is the largest organization of Black PhDs in the entire world. We did that last year. Last year, we had the largest gathering ever of intelligent, highly skilled Black people in history. We did that last year. That was what we did last year. Wait till you see what we do this year and next year. Just wait till you see. It's amazing. I can't even tell you what we're going to do next year because it's so big. So long story short, if you want to see more about the convention in terms of who's going to be there and what's going to happen, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you're on the text list, I told you all I want the right people there. We're going to sell out in probably about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm guessing. So I wanted to invite you all. That's why I dropped the price for you, because I don't want money to be a barrier. So if you're on the text list, I'll send you that link today. Today's the last day to get. I think Micah, I told her to take 50% off or something, and she took 70% off the tickets. I was like, okay, I don't care, because the money's not the thing. It's fine. We just got to pay the bills. So if you want to get that ticket, we have 50 general admission, 50 VIP available, and 10 President Circle. That's it. And so if you want to get that link, just make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to the number 87948. So you text the word morning to the number 87948. I will send you the link today. Today's the last day, though. At midnight, it goes back to the regular price. So feel free to take a look at that. All right. So let me, let's see. Yeah, Tawanda. I mean, yeah, the prices are. I did. She did more than I asked her to do, but I didn't change it. I just said, okay, that's fine. I don't. That's fine. All right. So let me play this tape with or this video with Judge Mathis. I thought it was really interesting, and I liked his transparency. I don't know Judge Mathis. I met him one time in 2009. We were on this panel, this MSNBC panel with Al Sharpton put this together. This is how long ago it was, because I haven't talked to Sharpton in a while. But anyway, here we go. I'll play it. Let me turn this on. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
I want to not do it. It's the worst days of my life. How about that? I know I'm sorry after that. I wanted to ask you, with the news of the separation, how are you holding up? I'm holding up very well. I would say the other man, I'll be an example for other men, cautionary tale. Like your wife. I'm here now, find out. I have for 40 or for 25 years. Wife has been third. Much fun beyond your life. I do want to ask, its separation is listed back in July 17th. Was this been coming for some time now, or was it coming up? Oh, started taping here in LA. I committed to staying home more and making my wife more of a priority. As you see, I haven't. So here on the road, doing the same thing. And in terms of going out into another city, 3 weeks. July 17th, man. are in a good place right now, or able to maintain a friendship? Yeah, we're still in the same house. We're maintaining a friendship. I'm trying to get my wife back for that though. We are so while we're there together before, and hopefully she doesn't complete the process. But I'm changing in hopes that she will. I'm getting my wife back. How about that? So I just want to eliminate all the rules. There's something about a baby or even me, less than a child. None of that. Just show you what it is. There were also, kind of things of any inability. If you want to say that about, you say solely neglect. Right there. Neglect can create certainly. And if you're gone as much as I am, you have everybody. Like you go to work, serving the community around the country, guys, sporting events around the country, you go to other events, except out your wife, hanging with you, enjoying herself with you. And so, yeah, she would have a right to suspect infidelity. There's none of that going on. That's not the purpose. That's not the reason for this. How you doing?
First off, I felt bad for him. I really did. I felt very, very bad for him, and her. It's just sad. I mean, 39 years. Wow, that's a tough. And then the second thing is, I commend him, for being honest and open. I don't know if there's another reason for this, but from what I see, he's just a guy sort of telling his truth. Now Kelsey noticed something that I noticed too, that it was kind of funny. Like he was saying that I what was it? That one of the problems is that I was always getting on an airplane leaving. And at that moment he was getting on an airplane leaving, right? And I think that really skirts like the really difficult reality and the difficult trade-off of you know grinding your whole life to become successful and to build this wealth and make all this money, but then what it does is it does have a cost. It has a price attached to it. And apparently what I saw here, when you pull back like any judgment about who should have done what, is it almost seems to me that he's really basically making a statement about investing. And the statement is that I had an improper asset allocation. When you look at investing, you have these things called portfolios. And the thing about a portfolio that people don't always know is that when you create a portfolio, which a portfolio is basically a set of assets, and these are assets that you own, these are assets that you have invested in order to enhance their value. Okay, let me know if you're following this, and let me know if you can hear me. Someone says they couldn't hear me. I just want to make sure. I get a little worried when that happens. Can y'all hear me? You'll get the okay? So when you think about portfolio, one of the interesting things about portfolios is that people think that portfolios typically have to do with wealth and money, and that's it. That it's always something financial, stocks, bonds, real estate. But what I figured out probably in my fourth year of my doctoral program was I said, oh, we all have a portfolio, and I call it God's portfolio. And that is a portfolio of life. That is literally a collection of all the things in your life that you value, all the things in your life that matter to you, all the things in your life that you would not trade for any amount of money in the world. For example, your relationships. We talked about health, wealth, and relationships. Well, your relationships are valuable. For example, how many of you have a parent or a sibling or a best friend where you wouldn't trade that relationship for $10 million? Like if I said, I'll give you $10 million to never talk to your mama ever again, how many of you would gladly say, oh, hell no, I'm not taking that money? Give me a yes in the chat if you have at least one relationship, maybe with your child, where you would not trade that relationship for $10 million, right? So what you're basically telling me is that you have at least one thing in your life that's worth millions of dollars to you, which pretty much makes you a millionaire. You just have what we call in finance, and the problem is that in finance we would refer to that as an illiquid asset. Like you can't sell that relationship on the stock market and get $10 million, but for you it's worth $10 million, okay, or more, maybe 100 million. I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade a relationship with my mama for $1 billion, right? So a lot of times we have these other assets. And what happens in a capitalist society? This is why I am not a capitalist. I am not a capitalist. I am not a capitalist. Don't ever call me a capitalist. That's like calling me the N word. I'm playing. I don't hate I have no problem with those who are capitalists. I have friends that are capitalists, but I'm not a capitalist. And the reason is that capitalism creates a very unnatural imbalance where you start to favor one type of capital or one type of wealth over all the other types of wealth that exist in your life. And you see it happen all the time. You see that man who works so hard that he dies of a heart attack at the age of 42 because he neglected his health. Or you see the woman who grinds so hard that she never gets married, never has kids, and has health issues because she's been trying to climb the corporate ladder. A lot of us know people like that. Tyler Perry makes movies about people like that, right? He likes to make movies about black women who are in pain. And I think there was one movie, I think it was Janet Jackson or somebody that was in this movie. And literally she was like this high flying executive who had nothing else going on in her life other than her career. And I remember thinking, man, Massa really did a number on us to get us to believe that achieving a certain status on the corporate plantation was more important than all the other things in our lives that we could be investing in too. I don't know if that is a healthy balance. Again, I'm not here. In fact, you know what? I want to make this clear. I'm not here to judge anybody else's decision on that. I'm not here to judge anybody else's asset allocation. Asset allocation is how much do I invest here? How much do I invest here? How much do I invest here? Almost like budgeting, like how much are we going to spend here? How much are we going to spend here? Right. But what I want you to do is I want you to become conscious of this. This is financial consciousness. This is what we do every morning. We're doing financial consciousness training. So consciousness doesn't mean I'm telling you what to do. Consciousness means I need you to tell yourself what to do and to think about it carefully. Every day you're making a budget. Every single day you're making a budget. Do you know every year I make a time budget? Every year there's 8,760 hours in a year. When that year is over, I'm never going to get that year back. So at the start of every year, when everybody else is celebrating New Year's and all this other stuff, I'm sitting there and I'm making a time budget. And I'm thinking about all the things I want to do this year that matter to me. And I take 8,760 hours and say, okay, I got to allocate 3 or 4,000 of those hours for sleeping, right? And then I got to maybe about 4,000 hours left. What am I going to do with that? Oh, I could take 100 hours and finish a book. I could take another 100 hours and do this. I could take this other 100 hours and learn a skill, right? That's how I decided to become an airplane pilot. So I was like, oh, I get it. It only takes about 100 hours of training, and I'll have a pilot's license, and that's what I did. Right. Or I'm going to take so much of the other time and invest that in my wife and invest that in my family. You have to be intentional in terms of your asset allocation, or you may end up feeling like you have an imbalance, like Judge Mathis says. What he's saying to you is that I did not properly allocate my portfolio of life. I was tricked into believing that being a successful television celebrity was more important than almost anything else in my life. That's what he seemed to be saying. And now he's saying, damn, I overinvested, I overallocated. Health, wealth, and relationships. That's what tends to matter for all of us. So he's basically saying, I really invested in the wealth side because I'm Judge Mathis. And I've been Judge Mathis for a long time, and that's a big deal. But now my wife left me. Now I'm in the airport, talking about how I'm trying to get my wife back. And I tell just a little side note. I thought it was kind of funny. Did anybody else notice when they were like, so what about these cheating rumors? And he's like, well, and I was like, uh-oh. like, because the immediate answer is like, I did not cheat. I was never unfaithful, right? But for celebrities, I will just say that I see that a lot. Let me just say that I know a lot of really famous people. And especially guys like him, he's got a lot of swag and charisma. He travels a lot. He goes a lot of places. I wouldn't be surprised if that might have been part of the issue, but I also kind of wonder if there is a conversation we should have before we even choose to marry somebody like that. I personally don't know if I'm a woman, I don't even know if I'd marry a Judge Mathis without expecting that there would be a lot of temptation in his life and that maybe perhaps someone might make a mistake at some point. Again, not saying it's okay, but I'm looking at reality here. I'm looking at reality and what really happens in so many millions of these marriages. And so let me go back though. Here's another interesting person that someone just brought up. Lewis just brought up Will Smith. and their kind of crazy messiness, where they've been talking openly about their relationship in probably a way that's a little bit TMI. Like people kind of got tired of them doing those red table talks and just telling all their business to everybody. It kind of made you want to throw up after a while. I didn't like it. I thought it was just very bad for their brand. And because I have a lot of respect for Will Smith and his family. I don't know Jada's family, but Harry, Will Smith's brother, I got a chance to spend many, many hours with Harry. We met in LA a couple times for hours and hours, and we just talked and talked. And first of all, he looks a lot like his brother. That was very strange. It was kind of weird. It's like looking at Will, but also he's super smart. As I was observing how smart this guy was, I said, okay, so he comes from a smart family. Like he really fits into the space of intelligent Black people, in my opinion, and they helped me understand why Will was so successful. And so I have a lot of respect for the family. I have a lot of respect for Will's accomplishments, and I felt like that whole public circus that it became was just it just diminished so many things about their brand. And I like the fact that they kind of got back on track. He went back to being a movie star and being whatever he is, and I think that's great. And what I also didn't enjoy was really seeing them when you're throwing your stuff out there like that in such a weird way. It allows so many people to just almost make fun of your decisions, right? So but I don't make fun of Will and Jada's choice to maintain their family. That's their decision. But here's one thing that I heard from Will Smith about 25 years ago that really stuck with me, that I actually respect. So one thing Will said, he said it many years ago. He said that it's an asset allocation statement that he made. He said, when I wanted to become a movie star, that was the most important thing in the world. He said, I told myself I'm going to dedicate everything I have to being the biggest movie star in the world, and then I'll give my family whatever's left over. And one thing he learned, which I hope you'll also understand, is that when you're at the top of your game and you're dedicating your life to something, and you're not going to have anything left over. He said you don't have anything left over. Everything, you leave it all on the court. You're giving everything to your craft. You're doing everything you can to become the best in the world at what you do. So your family has nothing left. Your family's literally getting scraps. And he said that's what caused my first divorce. He said, so what I realized, and this is actually a philosophy I apply to this day, is that everything that matters to you should all be on the same plate. Every single thing that matters, maybe the top 5 things that matter, maybe it's your family, your health, your career, something else, right? And all these things have to get the same level of energy, right? If I'm going to be ambitious about my career, I need to be ambitious about my spouse. If I'm going to be ambitious about getting money, I need to be ambitious about my health. If I'm going to be ambitious about going out and conquering the world, I got to be ambitious about conquering the futures of my children and making sure my kids are okay. And that's really an attitude. That to me is a holistic approach to life that tends to breed success in a multitude of areas, as well as a balanced asset allocation strategy for your portfolio of life. See, your financial portfolio is only a tiny part of your wealth. Your financial portfolio is just a small part of your wealth. God's portfolio is what you're trying to optimize. God's portfolio doesn't just consist of your stocks and your bonds and your real estate and your cash. God's portfolio consists of your money, but it also consists of your children and your spouse and your health and all the other things that matter, your peace, your inner peace, your mental health, all these things. So I would say to you, if you're an ambitious person, how many of you are ambitious people? Give me a yes if you consider yourself to be a go-getter, a hard worker, an intelligent person, a person that wants success in your life. And give me a yes if you're in that category. Maybe you're a straight A student. Maybe you're trying to improve your life, right? Give me a yes if you're in this category. Everybody, all the go-getters, raise your hand. I want you to be proud of yourselves, because I think you're rare, honestly. I think we live in a world that really embraces mediocrity, and it pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me mad. I hate it. I don't even like it when they started giving like the fat kid in the back the same ribbon that they would give the kid who worked hard and actually trained to be the best. I don't like that. I no disrespect to the fat kid in the back. That's fine. But still, though, I know everybody should not get a first place trophy. No, the winner gets the trophy. Everyone else gets to work hard to see if they can get the trophy. Like, that's what makes the trophy valuable. If everybody gets the damn trophy, then the trophy has no value. Same thing is true. I think overall, like when we talk about like, oh, don't be rough on the kids, it's traumatic. And I get that, right? We don't want to traumatize kids, but some of the things that I went through in my life that were hard Oh, that gave me toughness. That gave me resilience. That made me hungry. I wouldn't trade that for the world. And where I feel sorry for a lot of our kids now is that they lose that. They lose it because we're all like, oh, we don't want to hate the baby. The baby is hard. The baby cried. No, when I used to be a track coach, I used to hate it when track practice is hard. If you ever did track and field, track is one of the hardest sports you'll ever do. It's so hard. And so we had to train these kids to get them ready to compete against these like really tough kids from Detroit and Florida, and where they really were like straight like Louisville has a hood, but their hood ain't like a Detroit hood. You know what I mean? So we had to get these kids ready for to race the hood kids in Detroit. So we had to work them hard, and then the kid would get tired and start crying and whine to their mom. And I hated when the mothers would be on the sideline. So the mom would be like, "I took him off the track because he was tired and he needs some water and he needs to be." And I was like, no, you can't come back because we got to make these kids tough. We got to put them through something so they're not, because your kid is crying today, but he's really going to be crying when he runs into some real competition. Because in this world, people aren't playing with you. It's, white folks ain't playing with you. People are competing with you. People are going to take what you have if you can't defend that. If you can't fight for something, then you'll never have anything. So I think that there has to be more of a balance, and I think we've lost that balance. Our society has lost the balance. I'm sorry. When you're looking at the fact that it is a national security problem right now, the military can't even recruit young people because they're showing up like weak and fat and scared and punks. And that's not how you defend the country. So this is my little rant. I hope that that's okay, but I just really kind of feel like we got to do better. And in fact, I'm not saying the whole world's going to do better because the whole world ain't going to listen to me. I'm telling you to set your standard, whatever that standard is. Do it. Just be balanced, be healthy, be smart, but set a standard, right? So anyway, let's get back to that. Okay, so you raise your hand. You're a go-getter. You're ambitious. You're hardworking. Well, if that's who you are, then all I'm going to ask you to do today is just be that person, and be that person all the time. Stop code switching. Stop shifting personalities. Stop being one thing in one situation. Stop being ambitious on your career, but then being lazy in your relationship. Stop being, hyper motivated when it comes to making money, but then lazy when it comes to like getting your body in shape and getting up and going to the gym. I'm just telling you, whoever you are, be that person all the time, because that is what will make you successful in life overall. Michael Jordan is interesting, right? Michael Jordan's a prick. I've concluded that. I hope I don't offend my friend Larry Miller. Larry Miller's a very good. I respect him immensely. He ran the Jordan brand. I know he's very good friends with Mike, but y'all know Michael's a jerk. You've seen him like walk past those little kids. And, Michael, can I get an autograph? He's like, no, get out my face, right? So he's a jerk, right? Let's just lay that out there. But he also is competitive and ambitious, and he likes to win. Whatever he does, he likes to be the best at it. And what I admire about Michael Jordan is that when Michael won championships on the basketball court, he didn't turn that off when he got off the court. Now he's winning championships in life. Now he's 60 years old. He can't dunk basketballs like he used to, but he's making more money, probably 10 times more money now than he ever made as a basketball player. Maybe even almost 100 times more money. I think one year he might have made $2 or $3 billion or something. Right. And I believe that the reason he's successful in a lot of areas of his life, maybe I don't know about marriage and all that, right? I think there's a conversation to be had about that part. But I think in terms of just the business side as well as the athletic side, I think that's because he just took that same energy and applied it to everything. And so really what I'm saying is I don't think that replicating Michael Jordan is the answer here, right? I'm not saying that at all, because again, we already agreed that he's kind of a prick. But I think that for yourself, there's something to the idea of saying that if I'm going to be ambitious over here, I should be ambitious over there. If I'm going to be great at my job, I know so many people who are amazing in their careers, but their personal lives have fallen apart, or they're really good at making money, but their children hate them, or they're going out and doing multi-million-dollar deals, but they've got all these health problems because because they've completely neglected their health. And so I think diligence all the way across the board is really what you want to aim for, because that'll give you a balanced life. Because if you're aiming for financial wealth and you're not doing little things like taking care of your health, going to the doctor, things like that, black men, we gotta talk to each other about that. Then what'll happen is that you're going to lose all your wealth anyway. That hospital is going to take all the money out of your pocket, all those procedures and medications and everything else. Oh, that money's gone. So you might as well not go out and do anything, because it's all going to be taken away from you anyway, because you're so focused on one side of your life that you're neglecting the other. Or if you look at the Judge Mathis, I kind of wonder, because I wrote a book about love and money called Financial Lovemaking. I wrote this book many years ago. It's at drboycebooks.com if you want a copy. And one thing about Mathis is I'm really also wondering if, when you're fighting to get your wife back, could any of this be due to the fact that there are massive, massive, massive financial consequences for financial consequences for divorce? Right? You saw Tyrese. I don't know if you saw Tyrese, the singer. He was literally in tears after going into child support court. Did y'all see that? He came out of child support. He's so sensitive. He was like, my heart is full, and this was after this was right after the judge, I think, tripled his child support payments, and I feel bad for him. He cries a lot, but I've cried before. I mean, there's no wrong with a man crying, but he cries like kind of a little bit too much. But the interesting thing is, though, that that these family situations tend to come with weighty financial consequences if it's not done properly. So I was talking to a young guy the other day who's in his 30s, and we were talking about the trade-off between being married and having kids versus what you're doing in your career. And he's doing really well. He's got a great business. He's making lots of money. And I said, so you're gonna get married? You're gonna have kids? What are you gonna do? And he said, I don't know, man. I don't know. These women, that kind of conversation. I'm just listening to him, and I said, well, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I mean, I'm gonna say though that children are an asset, but they're only an asset if you invest in them, right? It's like if I started a business is not going to make me wealthy. But starting a business and investing time into making that a great business can make me insanely wealthy. But if I run that business poorly, that business can end up costing me lots of money and lots of time. You understand? So having a child or building a family doesn't automatically elevate your status in the world. You have to manage that family properly. You have to invest in that family properly. You raise some healthy, well-adjusted, well-connected children, then you're going to have lots of wealth and success, and all these amazing things will happen. But if you do it kind of sloppily, bad things can come out of that. I think we talked about that even with Cam Newton having all those babies splattered kind of everywhere. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out for him. It's his choice, of course, but I wonder what that's going to look like, because we know it's going to be very expensive, because baby mamas cost money, right? Or baby daddy, baby mama stuff costs money. So what I did kind of say to him is I said the best advice I could give you, if you want it, I always ask people before I give them advice. I don't assume that they want to hear what I have to say. I said, so would you like to know what I think? He said, yeah, absolutely. I said, okay. I would think of your decision to get married and to have a family to be similar to any investment decision that you make, except the difference is that this is an investment that is far more valuable than money. Money cannot buy or repair the pain that a man feels when he loses his family or when he goes through a divorce. Money cannot replace the amount of stress you feel if you're in a bad relationship. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's something that it can deteriorate your soul. It can take away things money can't buy. I just read a story about a great sprinter at the University of Houston named Cameron Burrell, who's the son of Leroy Burrell. Leroy Burrell ran for Carl Lewis back in the day, and he was an Olympic champion. And Cameron was going through an ugly custody battle, and he lost he took his own life, and he was, I think, maybe 24 years old or something, which made me really sad. I know of a woman, oh gosh, out of Houston, and she spoke at our convention, and her name was Robin. I don't have her last name, but she was in a bad relationship. She was doing very well professionally, but she was in a very bad relationship with a husband who apparently has some significant mental health issue, and he stabbed her 100 times in front of her daughter. And I supported the family because I was shocked at how the media just kind of ignores that. Like, they'll get us all fired up over a George Floyd killing, but I said, this to me is 10 times worse. This woman did nothing to anyone. She wasn't, again, I'm not saying that the Floyd situation wasn't bad, But I'm like, why are we fired up over something like that? But this is just kind of like run of the mill. Like no one seems, no one seemed to care. And but I reached out to my friends in Houston. I called my friend Willie D, who has some weight in Houston, and I said, man, you gotta help me get attention on this because this mother did not deserve this, right? So what I'm saying is, my point is to say that relationships are really powerful. They're really powerful in terms of their ability to create these amazingly good things in your life, and they're powerful in their capacity to create untold, unimaginable amounts of pain in your life. Just putting you in. Robin Simpson, thank you, Chelsea. I forgot her last name. I shouldn't have done that, but thank you. Robin Simpson's her name. Y'all should go Google it. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I think that. And so what I told him was, I said, so what you're really doing is you're choosing, by choosing whether to get married and have kids and all that, you're choosing whether or not you're going to invest something more valuable than money into one of the most powerful assets that you'll ever own in your life. Like you're deciding. It's like literally you're thinking about investing in a nuclear power plant. And a nuclear power plant can either make you insanely wealthy if you know how to manage the damn thing and you prepare carefully, or it can kill everyone. You can have a meltdown and the reactor goes off because you didn't plan or prepare things properly, right? So I said the biggest thing I would probably say in terms of mistakes I think people make is we don't treat it like other investments. We don't do our due diligence. I'll see people do tremendous amounts of due diligence on a real estate deal. They'll do major research before they buy their first share of stock. I've literally tried to explain to people, like, look, don't overthink it. It's not hard to buy stock. Here's what you do. They train monkeys to do it, but it doesn't matter. I'll still talk to people who'll be like, Dr. Boyce, I've been listening to you for 3 years, and I'm still nervous about buying stock. And I get it. I understand the nerves, but it's really interesting because you'll spend 3 years deciding whether or not you want to buy stock, but you'll be in a relationship with somebody you met a week ago. I don't understand that. The only answer I can come to is that love and sex and all that is not logical. So we don't make logical decisions. We make emotional decisions. Maybe they're driven also by some pleasure-seeking behavior, right? Because sex is fun. We all know this, and so it causes us to just go into these situations that could be deadly, and we're not even processing that. And this was what was fascinating. This is what led me to write my book, Financial Lovemaking, because I said love makes people insane, like a crazy crackhead drug addict. And I was seeing that with myself. That was when I was trying to understand my own emotions. And I said, what is this jealousy thing? Why do I get so furious about the idea of this woman that I'm with being with another man? Like, I don't like this energy. This energy makes me feel bad. I don't like myself when I feel this way. And so I went to study that. Or what is it about the bonding process? What does it make that makes people so crazy and just make silly decisions in relationships? And so that's when I went down this rabbit hole of finding out about all these chemicals that fire off in your brain, because you can't outsmart God and Mother Nature, and you're wired to really be connected in a way that no matter how smart you are, no matter how high your IQ is or how many degrees you got, you literally become a big dummy when it comes to those base level emotions, especially if you are a person that has some sort of emotional void that was never filled. Like, I don't know, a missing father, right? A missing father, you meet another man, all these subconscious triggers are going off that are attaching you to this person that you should not be attached to. Or men, the things that drive us, right? So basically, what I learned is, I said, this process, you have to get it under control, because it can be very deadly if it's done improperly. So this is where things like emotional intelligence are incredibly important. You got to know, like, over time, I started to have to learn, like, the difference between what I wanted and what I needed, what I thought was good versus what was really good for me. Listening to Belle Biv DeVoe, that girl is poison. And men, we like the poison. We'll chase the poison. Women will chase their own version of poison. And so, so ultimately, what that led me to do, that led me to write my book, Financial Lovemaking, because I was reading all this stuff and I was like, wow, this is crazy. But then also I realized that if you consider the fact that a relationship is an investment, where you're investing something that is more valuable than money, right? You're giving your time, maybe you're giving up your youth, you're sharing your body, right? The person gives you a disease you can't get rid of, and all these other things that are far bigger than just how much money's in your bank account. I think due diligence is really critically important. So the advice I gave this young guy was I basically said, I say kids are valuable. If you have them, invest in them, and they can become a tremendous asset for you and the family long term. And I think that that's okay. I think that we should give to each other. I think we should support each other. I'm very happy to support my parents because they're in their 70s and they need me. But I support them because they invested in me so heavily, and this is just an ROI. This is a return on their investment. When I paid off my father's house, he thanked me profusely. I said, "Don't thank me, because if you had not been there for me in my in the 80s and when I was a little kid, I probably wouldn't be here for you. You didn't have to be here for me. People would have called you a simp for taking care of somebody else's kid." Seriously, there's men that think that way. There are people I've heard, you're simping. Why would you take care of a kid that ain't yours? Well, maybe that kid could be an investment. He invested in me, so I paid off his house. He wanted a truck. I said, okay, which one you want? I'll pay cash for it. There's no car note for you. Oh, you need something, daddy? What do you need? Right? So we undervalue. See, what we do is when we're on this paper chase and we're chasing money and chasing what we think is wealth, you don't understand. People miss 90% of all the things that are truly valuable in your life. They do. They do, because you live in a capitalist society where you worship money. That's what it is. Capitalism is where money is a guide. And everybody sees the money, and the bright shininess of the gold that you're staring at makes you blind to all the other things in your life that are worth so much more than any amount of money you'll ever have in your bank account. So I explained to my parents, and I get excited about it. I love explaining this stuff. These are epiphanies I had over many years of teaching this stuff. As I said, you got to understand, I am a walking reflection of an ROI. I'm part of your retirement plan. You thought that your retirement plan was your pension. You thought your retirement plan was Social Security. You thought your retirement plan was your 401k. But me, my brother, and my sister all standing here as financially capable human beings who love the hell out of their parents. Oh, that was part of your retirement plan too. And that was the big part of it. And you didn't even know you were investing. You just thought you was taking care of them damn kids. And I just said, thank you. Because I know I was a handful when I was 14 years old. I know that me and you bumped heads a lot when I was a kid. I know that everyone would have completely understood if you said, that boy ain't mine anyway. I'm going to put him out of the house. I can't stand that little SOB. He gets on my nerves. People would have understood that. They would have said, yeah, you don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to do nothing for nobody. But you stood by me because you are a man of principle. You are a man of commitment. That's another thing I think has been lost in our society. People don't know what commitment really means. They don't. They think it's like, oh, I'm gonna just do it until it's hard, and then I'm gonna quit. Okay, I'm not judging, but that's not really commitment. Where I come from, that's not commitment. Commitment is when you can keep doing it even when it's really hard. And that's really hard to do because then you start feeling stupid. You're like, why would I keep committing to this thing that's so hard and so challenging? And I understand. I get it. But I really think commitment can also mean like a contract. Like if I sign a contract with a company to do 10 commercials for that company, and I say, yeah, I was doing the commercials, but then it got really hard, so I stopped. If I went to court, they would not hear, they would say, you made a commitment, you signed a contract, you signed a deal, so you have to fulfill your commitment. I don't know why that's so complex for people. I don't but I think it comes back to the fact that we do live in a world, and I'm probably ranting here, and I hope that that's okay. I hope it's okay if I rant a little bit, but I think we live in a world where we've been trained to be very weak people. And the weakness, I think, shows in our inability to truly commit to each other. The weakness shows in the fact that our children are not prepared for the future. We're handing our kids off to white folks so they can miseducate them and have them graduating at the age of 18 without even being able to read, and we're okay with that. I think that our weakness is shown by the fact that we're not doing 1/10 of what we're capable of. We are capable of so much more as a community, and we don't even tap into that. We're scared of that. We're scared of our potential, or maybe we're just afraid of the sacrifice required to really pursue excellence. You can't have excellence without sacrifice. You can't. It's hard. So ultimately, I when I talked to this young guy, I'm gonna finish up on this. Is I said, if you get married, um, Think of it like this. I said, you're trying to run a marathon. Marriage is a freaking marathon. That's what it is. My parents been married 50 years. I watched that. It was hard. It was not politically correct. It did not fit anybody's fairy tale. It was not, it was not anything like what the people on the internet describe marriage is supposed to be. It was none of that. It was not like I'm the man, I get to do what I want, or I'm a woman and I'm supposed to have this and that. No, it was not like that. It was constant compromise, compromise to the point of feeling stupid, compromise to the point where people would have told my mother, "Oh, girl, you need to leave him." Back in 1982. It was compromised from my father to the point where people be like, "Man, why are you up here simping? Why are you dealing with this stuff? You ain't got to deal with this. You're 29 years old. You can have any girl you want, right? You could be like Nick Cannon or something, right?" So ultimately, seeing this thing happen and knowing that it's not a fairy tale kind of helped me mentally prepare for what it's like to run a marathon. I ran a marathon. Actually, I got the picture up here of the day my wife got me to run a marathon. It was the most horrible shit you can ever imagine in your life. There's nothing more like when you first start, it all feels good. It's like your wedding, like marriage, like on the wedding day, everybody's so pumped up and excited. And it's same thing with a marathon. In the beginning, they're playing the music and everybody's all excited and everybody's dancing and then they shoot the gun off and people start running. You're running really fast because you're like, yeah, I'm running a marathon. Look at me, I'm running a marathon. And you get to about mile 7, and you're like, oh God, like this is horrible. And then it's mile 12, mile 15, 16, and then you hit like mile 16, like 15 or 16, and you can't run another inch. Your legs feel like they are filled with concrete. You are sick, you're tired, you're sweating, you're running, you're not running in the group anymore. You're kind of running by yourself, trying to find some way to keep going. And then somebody's like, well, you've only got 9 miles to go. Come on, you're almost there. And I remember being mad. I wanted to cuss people out. I'm like, I'm not almost fucking there. I got 9 miles. You know how long 9 miles? Like I was mad. It was terrible. It was terrible. And so really, if you think about marriage like a marathon where it's not exciting and fun, it's like you don't want to try to run a marathon with a sprinter. You don't. A lot of us do that. We'll marry somebody who's not really built for the challenge of being married. I kid you not. There was one lady. I'm a scientist, so I always ask goofy, nerdy questions, right? So one time there was this lady who was married, and she really liked me. And she was like one of those married single women. Y'all probably know them. You probably seen it. So she was like really laying it on thick. Like she really. This is back when I was single, back before I married my wife. And she don't even tell my wife this story, or maybe I probably already told her because I talk a lot. And so she was like, really hitting on me, like, and I was so intrigued. I was like, wow, you're married, and I thought married people were taken, but you're not taken because you let me know, like, hey, if you want to come over and hang out with me, that's fine. So I was like, so is your husband? Like, what? Tell me about your husband. I bet he's terrible. Is he beating on you? She's like, no, no. I was like, did he cheat on you? Is that it? You're trying to sleep with me so you can get revenge on your husband. And she's like, no, I don't think that's happened. And I said, well, what's going on then? Sounds like he's a good guy. Like, what's happening? And you know what she said? She said that when I got married at 25, I I thought that it would just be fun. I thought that I would feel good all the time. And then I got to 30 and then 35, and I started saying, "Oh my God, is this all that there is?" I started realizing that forever is a really long time. like forever, when you hear about the word forever as a concept, it's like, yeah, we're gonna be together forever, we gonna do it, right? But most people don't really, they say it, then they don't do it, right? Because there's a difference between um the theoretical perception of forever versus really living through that. Like that's why Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence's movie Life was such an important film. I like the way they did that movie because what they did was they roped in people. They were roping in all the young brothers that were willing to do life in prison over silly stuff. And what they did was they were like, okay, so what happened next? Did they break out of jail? Did this exciting thing happen? And they were like, no, they just got old. They just sat in jail and got old. That was it. They had life. This is what it means to dedicate your life to something. And I think that if people really understood that, like if people really knew that, I bet you that a lot of people would be doing more due diligence before they enter into their relationships. So what I told the brother was, I said, just understand that if you get married, it is a legal contract. It is the biggest business deal that you've ever done in your life. It also involves a lot of emotions that go outside of business. And so you're going to have to, as an entrepreneur, really pick a woman that can really fit with what you're doing. Take your time, observe everything. Don't just observe how she treats her friends. I said, I want to know how you treat your worst enemy. Because if this thing does not work out, I don't want to have a big, messy divorce. So if you have a breakup with someone else and you are slashing his tires, busting out his windows, destroying his reputation, I don't want no parts of that, because that means that if we have a dispute, you're going to act like a complete ass because you've got all these these undealt with traumas or unresolved issues that probably come from the fact that maybe your father left you when you were 5, or maybe he's mad because his mama mistreated him when he was 7. So therefore, when things go bad, he becomes a whole different person. So really understanding these things and really having consciousness about it. This is about financial consciousness, actually, because if you ever want to lose a lot of money, go through a divorce. That'll really make you mad. He wasn't shooting jumpers in the gym. She wasn't helping you build that wealth, but yet she's walking away with half of what you got. That's a terrible feeling. So a consciousness exercise, really, remember, I told you consciousness is when you're leveling up, where you're going to higher dimensions. So you're not just looking at what is. See, a lot of times we make romantic decisions based on what is. I love you right now. You're good to me right now. I think higher dimensional processing, in fact, I know, is not just where you're looking at what's happening right now. You're looking at how you got here. You're also looking at what's going to happen down the road. But then you also look at the what ifs. You say, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? And what people don't even think about at all is when they form a partnership with another person, whether it's business or romantic partnerships, they don't think about, like, what happens if this doesn't work out? How do we make sure that if we decide to not complete this marriage, can we make it a peaceful resolution? That's why things like prenups are okay. I think prenups are fine, because all a prenup is really doing is it's not saying I plan to get a divorce. It's saying if this happens, given that we know that we're going to be pissed at each other, given that we know we're not going to love each other then as much as we love each other now, like we're accepting that, we're gonna go ahead and put something in place right now that will protect us from ourselves and from each other, so that we don't end up looking like a couple of damn fools fighting in court and trying to ruin each other's lives. Right? That to me is an aspect of not just financial consciousness, but also emotional and financial maturity. Maturity just means that you accept and you understand that things will always change. The only constant in your life is change. So ultimately, what I did tell him was, I said, do your due diligence. If you pick somebody that values men, right? That values the father, right? If you're gonna have kids with a woman, make sure that she understands how important your role is. Because unfortunately, we trained a lot of our young women to believe men don't matter, that it's okay for the child to not have their dad in their life, and that's not healthy, in my opinion. I said, understand, maybe you find somebody who's also got something going on where she doesn't want you to take what she's got. You don't want her to take what you got. So you do a prenup or whatever, just whatever works for you. But think about it, just really process it. Think about it, take your time, and really watch people in a multitude of scenarios. Like again, I want to know, how do you treat your worst enemy? Because if you treat your worst enemy badly, and then we get a divorce and I become your worst enemy, that means you're going to probably do the same thing to me. And if people thought that way, for example, you wouldn't see, for example, women who date men who kill people, because if he gets mad at you, he's going to kill you. Like, what makes you think that you're immune to who he is as a human being just because he loves you right now? So that's my 2 cents on that. I'm done talking about that. And I really want to reiterate that I'm talking about this more so as an investment decision, except it's deeper than money, right? You can lose money and get the money back, but when you lose your soul, or you lose your life in a relationship, or you lose your mental and physical health, some of that can't ever be recovered. So that's my thought on that. I think that relationship decisions should be seen as investment decisions. And truth is, rich people actually do that a lot. If you try to marry into a very wealthy family where the family has billions of dollars, oh, they're not going to let you just in that house because you cute. They're not going to be like, oh, well, y'all had some good sex, so of course y'all should be together. No, they're going to be like, well, who is this person? And why are we letting them have access to our legacy? That this person, no, this person should not have access to the will. Grandma's going to write you out of the will now because you married somebody that she doesn't feel comfortable having access to our family resources, and that's how they think about this. So remember, it's a business decision too. Let's see. Do you have any breakup advice? Do I have any breakup advice? Be a decent person. I think that's important. I think I don't believe in allowing someone else's behavior to shape how you behave, because some of these energies that people carry, like jealousy or resentment or bitterness, that only hurts you. It doesn't really hurt the person that you're mad at. So I think forgiveness is a superpower. I relentlessly forgive. I might get away from you and never deal with you ever again. But my goal is to let it go as quickly as possible, because when you're carrying around that toxic baggage, it really takes a toll on your soul. So I would say, if you're going to have a breakup in business or a breakup in a relationship, first of all, I would say, proactively speaking, invest in relationships that would be easy to break up in case it did not work out. Right? There's some people who escalate conflict, and there's some people who de-escalate, who don't want to have conflict. I think it's better to have relationships with people in the second category than the first, right? Because they're not going to get ghetto and stupid and crazy. But then also, if you do run into a situation where things take a turn for the worse, just know that's life. It happens all the time. Sometimes things we just evolve and we grow apart, whatever. I would say that not allowing other people's behavior to determine what kind of person you're going to be is a really important variable, right? So my thing is, like, look, if you want to get loud and ghetto and crazy and stupid and ridiculous, that doesn't mean I have to do that. I'm not trying to out ghetto you. That's not fun. That's not a fun energy, because what you're doing is you're getting in the mud with them. And if you get in the mud with somebody who's already in the mud, that's just going to make you muddy, because there's a lot of misery in our community. There's a lot of bitterness, sadness, anxiety, depression, undiagnosed, untreated trauma. And so you have to find a way to navigate that. And obviously avoiding people that show those obvious signs, I think, is a good step. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes it pops up and you don't expect it. Well, just kind of having a protocol on how to deal with that is big. And that's where things like therapy come into play. And this is the last thing I'll say on this, and then I'm done. I heard somebody say this, and I believe it to be true. They say that a lot of people go to therapy just so they can deal with people who refuse to go to therapy. That's that I really, and I think that is so true. Some of y'all are in relationships with people who think therapy is stupid, or therapy is for suckers, or you're dealing with people who can't see their own flaws and their own issues. You're not going to really change that. You're not going to change them. The only thing you can change is you can change you. So how are you going to change you? And therapy gives you tremendous skill sets to change you, so that um those other people and that other energy does not affect you in a negative way. And I guess I know that a little bit, because I just deal with a lot of people. I see a lot of stuff, a lot of situations, and a lot of chaos, and I'm kind of in it, but I ain't gonna be of it. I think that's important to understand. Anyway, I'm done. I have overtalked the topic. I hope that this conversation was beneficial. I hope that it helped somebody today. And again, I have to reiterate, to make sure that you understand that this is an investing conversation, because there's nothing that you're going to invest that's more important than your time, your energy, your spirit, and your life. Okay. So this is why sometimes I take it outside the bounds of just money. It's not just a conversation about buying stock in your 401k. It's really about the things that actually matter, so that when you do make the money, you can enjoy the money better, because you've also got a wonderful, happy, healthy life. All right. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. And quick reminder, today's the last day to get the big discount on the All Black National Convention tickets. So if you want to receive that link, I'm going to send that link out this afternoon. Get on the text list. Text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. You'll also get an invitation to Money in the Morning, our private Zoom. Text morning to 87948. There is no code, Chelsea, to get the discount. I'll send you the link and you can get the discount. The All Black National Convention is going to be October 25th to the 27th in Lombard, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago. It's going to be at the Westin. It's going to be amazing. We have about 60 experts in a multitude of areas, from mental health to physical health, to legal issues, estate planning, cryptocurrency investing, stock market investing, real estate, anything that you want to know is going to be there. You're also going to have fun, and you're going to connect with like-minded people that really want what's best for themselves and their families. So feel free to take a look and find out more at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Last but not least, tomorrow I'll talk about I'll bring out the leaderboard for the Black Investors Championship. We're in week 2. And I wanted to share that today, but we're out of time for today. And then also third, a lot of you asked to put together something on estate planning. So I did put together an estate planning course in the Dr. Boyce Academy. I will send out the link at some point and give you guys early access at a discount if you'd like to learn more about estate planning, legacy building, preparing your estate and trusts and all that other stuff. All right. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I will see you soon, and have a wonderful day. Take care now. Bye-bye.